Welcome back. We have with us once again Sami Steigmann. How are you, Sami? How you doing?
Good morning, everybody. I am doing very well. And the reason that I am dressed with a tie is because I'm going to go to New Haven to give a presentation at Yale University.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, as everybody knows, the rules are that I can ask any question I want without Sami knowing ahead of time.
And it doesn't
And
have to be about the Holocaust.
right, and you always say it doesn't have to be about the Holocaust. So today I decided I'm gonna give my first question that's not about the Holocaust. My question is about public speaking. So it seems to me that you've made a career out of being a public figure, not the regular kind of public figure like a politician or an actor or something like that, but somebody that represents something. And as as you just said, you're going to go speak by Yale. Um, Last week when we did the interview, you mentioned how uh, I don't remember if it was on air or beforehand, but I think you said you once spoke for, what did you say, 60 hours to thousands of people who kept
Uh,
switching.
and Clubhouse, it is an audio app.
Mhm.
NBC wrote an article. You will find it on my PowerPoint that I answered questions for 16 hours straight.
16 hours straight. Yeah. So whenever I had enough after 20, 30 minutes, it's funny to you. Um, so my question is like this.
Oh, by the
Um,
way, there were close to 60,000 people from all over the world.
so each person can talk to you for no one, that's bad math. Never mind. Um, that's incredible, and they get a chance to rest because there's so many
Right.
people. You
But
don't
me,
have a
me, me too, because while they're asking the question, so it's not talking for 16 hours. Is they ask the question, I answer. Ask the question, I answer.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of you. It's something I learned in the business world. It's called tag team sales. When you're negotiating and somebody brings two people with them so they can keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and you're the only person there, and it's a lot of information. It's very exhausting. Anyways, my question is as follows. My question is, first of all, um, at what age did you take up doing this as a full-time thing? Did you have a career before you got involved in this representation of the Holocaust and all the things that you hold are important to make sure the world stays a safer place?
Until 2003, I did not feel that I belonged to the Holocaust survivors or to the children of Holocaust survivors. And on my first, recording, I did talk about it. But interestingly enough, in 2008, I gave my first presentation to sixth graders. And as you know, your first presentation is not the best, it's not the most complete. I never spoke before. I did not think that I have a message. I did not know that I can tell a story. But they sent me thank you letters, and the sixth grader wrote, uh, your story was overwhelming, and I promise I'll pass your story to my children. When I saw the impact that I had on my first presentation on such young people, I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to reach as many young people as I can and to educate them. Uh, I did not think that I became a strong voice But all of a sudden, people started telling me that I became to have a very strong voice in the community. Okay, not only about the Holocaust, but in general, being very active. And the rest is history.
Right, right. As I told you before, what's interesting is that from my perspective, it's almost like you were created for this day and age, because the survivors before you, the ones that were, older than you, and they were telling the stories in the, decades beforehand, they were telling stories of fire and brimstone. And you had to be quiet and you had to listen and you had to respect it. And, that was a very, very important part of how I grew up and the legacy. And with you, it seems that, like, even though it, if somebody were to wave a magic wand at you and you would turn into a 20-year-old, you would fit right in. Like, you have the patience to understand the open-mindedness of the culture nowadays that I don't think any of these survivors would have been able to tolerate, because they were very strict and they were very, just a different type of personality. And to me, it almost seems like it's a miracle that those people were telling their story in that time period, and you're telling your story in this time period.
Well, obviously, I evolved. If you would listen to my first presentation and today, it's totally different.
Hmm.
Uh, but it was a slow process. Uh, and what really happened is that from the answers that I got from the students, I realized slowly that something is missing. For instance, the older generation, they talk about their personal story. But
Yes.
since I do not have uh, any memories of that period of time, and my parents did not talk about it, at least not in front of me, except the fact that from my father's side, from 42 people, only two survived. In He felt guilty that he could not save anybody. Okay, a lot of survivors had the guilt feeling. And at the same time, he also mentioned that he will never set foot in Germany or buy a German product. So growing in that environment, I felt the same way until I started to talk and I was away from my parents. Uh, so for me, I do not talk about the people, and I started, I believe, last year for the first time. So take a look from 2008 to 2022. Okay, in 14 years, how I evolved. And for the first time, I started to emphasize not my personal story, but, okay, how did the Holocaust and genocide happen? How is it possible that ordinary people from Germany, from Europe, and from other countries found it not only acceptable, but required to annihilate one group of people, the Jewish people? So it's a different concept to understand. And, if you really think about it, it's no surprise that a lot of people do not believe that the Holocaust happened.
Right. That's very interesting. I did not know that you had this stages where you evolved. I know we're very good friends. I know you a long time, 2 months, but I didn't know previous to this that there was a whole evolvement. That's very eye-opening. So, but that also means that you realized what was necessary in and or you realized what was working in order to evolve.
Yeah, in my particular case, what happened is I was at Chabad, and It was very intimate because there were only two college students, university students, Jewish, and their families, okay, went through the Holocaust, and they also lost a number of members. And when I asked them, "Do you know how the Holocaust happened?" And they were totally clueless. That uh, okay opened. Uh, I was my eyes. I was totally surprised that they did not know how it started, how it escalated step by step by step. And that prompted me to find a way to do it in a very short period of time, to go all of the stages from the beginning, from the end of World War I to the final solution. And I do that succinctly in about 10 minutes.
Hmm. What's interesting is that these boys probably know more than most of us because we have very strong understanding of specific points. But sometimes, like in yeshiva, you have a good understanding of certain areas, but then when a newcomer comes and they get taught the fundamentals, they end up knowing, have a better basis of understanding than everybody else. They might not know as deeply certain things, but this is probably a good practice for everybody to humble themselves and push aside the fact that they know certain things about the Holocaust, and then take this maybe I don't know if you have it on your PowerPoint, but make a 10-minute presentation that everybody can have. I think it's important.
In the PowerPoint, what I have is I have the headline. Okay, so I'm talking, okay, the headlines without going into details. Okay, but I have the six steps
Huh.
that I go through.
We should do this in one of our videos, maybe take a 10-minute breakdown so that people understand it,
I
the
think we
fundamental.
did that in the first this, but we can do it again.
Okay, sorry. I apologize. Um, okay, so as you're talking, what I'm thinking is that when you speak about the fact that you had no memory to a great extent of what happened, and you were able to escape the horrors and the terrors to most part. Um, I remember that a week or two ago, you said nothing scares you. You don't scare easily.
I don't
Again,
what? I don't
you
what?
don't you don't scare easily.
Yes.
I forgot again if we said it when we were doing a video, when we were on a conversation. How it's impossible. We talk so much, but the point that I'm trying to figure out is like this. I know that concentration camp survivors didn't scare easily because it's like, what's the big deal for something that's so much smaller than such a bigger thing? So they went through so much that our life challenges were like nothing to them. They took it like a grain of salt. But if you have this same attitude, then maybe, am I wrong? Maybe it's not as a result of the horrors of the camps, but maybe this fearless attitude comes from the culture or the times, or something else. I mean, I know Americans also to a degree. If you look back at the history, the people that lived in the 1940s and 50, but then again they had the depression. I wonder what it is that makes a person from your generation more fearless if we take away the possibility that it's the actual horrors.
I cannot speak for other people.
Right,
Okay. I'm just going to talk about myself.
right,
Okay. And the way I feel. Uh, it is not coming from the Holocaust and whatever I went through. That fearless uh, also came to me because Three times I was within a split of a second close to death.
Hmm.
The third time was something that changed my perspective from believing in coincidence to something that is meant to be. Bashar. Uh, it was the fall. I was driving from Atlantic City. Normally, I used to speed. For whatever reason, I decided, okay, to be on the right lane. And it was drizzling, and they had wet leaves. And I never knew that wet leaves are worse than ice. Somebody pushed me over, and I started to fly, and I hit the tree head on. I cracked the window. The car was completely totaled, and I walked away without a scratch. And that made me realize that when my time is coming, there is nothing I can do about it. Under what circumstances, I have no idea. But until then, okay, I am not afraid. Okay. So uh, it is through the years, my experiences, I was not really bullied like other people, because I had a certain sense of pride of core values. So I did not have, how shall I say, negative. It's not that I never had, but it was not something that really affected my life in a very negative way. There were certain incidences, but okay, I looked at it as an incident, not something that uh, you know changed the way I feel. But that particular incidents when I hit the tree head on, that changed my perspective. And right now, I am convinced that whatever is happening, it's all meant to be.
Understood.
So even the fact that I'm right now talking to you or whatever it is things happen in succession, but it's not something that I plan. It's not something that I uh, deliberately did seek. It just came to me.
Like being part of the audience in your own show. It's like
In an interesting way of putting it, yes.
it's funny because the big sign they have in the anonymous meetings is let go and let God. And it's just funny that people have to get to this position where they admit that they have such a challenge that they have to put in a lot of work to get to the point where they can let go and let God. They should have let go and let God everywhere. Put it in the stores, stick it in the synagogue. Why not?
Uh, well, I have a tendency, and not everybody can do it. But for me, like for instance, I'm going to speak at Yale University. Yes.
Right,
After the presentation, I'm coming home out of my mind. It's done. It's the past.
right,
Move forward. So I
right.
don't dwell on the past. So whatever I did, and that's why I don't remember a lot of things. My memory is not what it used to be. And the only way that I can remember something is if I have pictures. The pictures
Interesting.
remind me of things, but otherwise, if you ask me if I travel to a country, how was it? I'll tell you it was fine, but I cannot give you details. If I'll have a picture, then I'll say, "Oh, I was here. I was here. I saw that." Okay, so uh, it's I don't know how to say it, but I don't dwell on the past.
Understood.
For me, the past is gone.
This happens a lot also to me. I'm only 49. I hear about it a lot from my friends. And I think what it is, it has to do with the fact that we had such incredible imaginations and memories as children, and it only gets worse and worse that you can't help but feel like you're missing out on some kind of part of your mind as you get older because it's just not the same. Anyways, I was gonna start off by talking to you about Yale, and we got sidetracked with interesting stuff. But what I wanna what I wanted to know, which I guess you already explained part of it already, is that um, when you go to speak, so your preparation is to be informed, but not to prepare, not to have any kind of
I, uh,
strategy or
I, I don't prepare myself, and I have no idea because somebody will moderate, whether it's a school, university, organization. Okay, somebody will moderate, and I tell them my story. I go over with them, by a website and my PowerPoint, so they know my story. But otherwise, I have no idea how they will start, what they will ask. Will they use the PowerPoint? Is it visual? Is it strictly conversation? It's strictly up to them. It's the moderator is like a TV star. Okay, they are inviting guests, and I'm there. Uh, you know, it's up to them. So I don't prepare myself, and I have no idea how the conversation in the presentation will go. Uh, I believe I'm the only one that does it that way. And one of the reasons that I do it this way is because I want to mentor uh, future leaders and for them to feel comfortable to speak in front of an audience. Like I had a seventh grader moderate in front of 400 students, and the 11th grader in front of 1,200 students live. Okay, it's amazing to see their confidence and uh, I give them credit for doing a wonderful job.
right. So it's kind of like when we're watching these debates between Biden and Trump, just not as entertaining. You have a moderator in the middle, then you have
Right,
whoever has a question, and then you're on the other side with the response.
exactly.
Interesting. Um, do you ever have an issue with hate? Like you see on social media, they're posting once in a while. They say that the colleges are the base of hate. That's where all the aggression comes from. People are coming of age, they have their opinions, and they think that's the only way. And there's a lot of anger. Do you ever have come across or have to deal and figure out how to, work your way out of
Well,
such situations?
the way I see it is, if you would raise your voice, I would automatically raise mine.
Hmm.
Okay, if you are calm and speak in a non-offensive way, people will not offend you. So it's a question, not how the other person or group of people react. It's how you react. It's based on okay, people react according the way you treat them. That's the way I see it. And when I go to fourth graders, I wear a tie. Why would I wear a tie in fourth graders? A lot of people that charge $20,000, $30,000, for a presentation as a motivational speaker, they don't wear a tie. Why would I wear a tie, a jacket, okay, to fourth graders? Subliminally, it shows that I respect them and I don't treat them as children.
Right.
It's you know, it's something that they may not think of it, but they will remember that I did wear a tie. I treated them with respect.
Makes sense. So basically, what you're saying is, aside from this point of respect is important, is that if you let somebody fire you up, then they're already winning. Now you're already thrown off. But if you stay calm and you don't let somebody else affect your energy, then hopefully, even if somebody wants to get hostile, but you're going to pull them back to this balance of calm through a conversation you may not agree on.
Well, I tell everybody that I will say things that they may not agree with me.
Right. You always
I am not asking them to agree with me. And I tell them beforehand. I think all I'm asking you is to respect that I have a different perspective. Period. And once I say that, once I uh, set up the parameters, okay, then I can say whatever I want.
do you ever have issues with aggression?
Not aggression. I had issues with people ask me very controversial questions, political questions, and depending the sometimes with the context and sometimes without the context. If it's without the context, I tell them this is not the forum. Okay, we can talk privately, and I want to know the context. If it has a context, depending on the question, I will give my personal opinion. People ask me about CRT. They ask me about a lot of things, BLM and everything, and I will tell them how I feel. I
Right.
am not afraid, and that is one of the reasons that people think of me as being a great
S-
advocate.
Straight.
I don't see myself as an advocate for any cause. The, other people see me in different ways. For me, it's my mission in life is to educate the next generation. So I don't think in the other things, advocacy and everything else. But
You
if you
have no
ask me,
agenda.
no.
You you're just there to have a
The
conversation.
only agenda that I have is to educate the next generation, okay, to understand how tragedies happen. And by learning from the past, okay, they will learn how to prevent future tragedies. That's my agenda.
Understood. Understood. Well, thank you very, very much. This is all very, very interesting. I hope you have a safe drive. Don't go on any slippery leaves or anything like
Well,
this.
I am not, nobody is driving. I don't have a car. I don't drive. I will take the I will take the train from Grand Central.
Okay, fair enough. Should be safer. Thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it as always.
My pleasure, my honor. And I don't know if I answered your question because your question was totally different and we just went off track. Do you
Which
remember
question?
what your initial question was?
Yeah, my initial question was, what did you do before you got involved in this?
No,
And
no, that
how,
was not a question.
how did your calling come about to this? If this was planned, if it was an intention? Okay, now I'm just guessing. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
I believe my
okay.
initial question was, how did you get, how did this become a lifelong, I give up. You tell me what my question was.
I personally don't remember, but it was somehow, uh, how did I become, a
Yes,
speaker? Something like that. Okay,
right.
and I don't remember the exact
You said that
question, but I'm not because we went off a little bit of tangent. I
yes.
don't know if I specifically answered your question, but since you don't remember, then
I
we
feel
can
you.
put in it.
No, no, I feel that you did. You spoke and then you realized the impact you had. And then in 2008, this was something you took on full time, which to me explains that this was not a lifelong career because this is only 15 years.
I never thought of it being a speaker.
Right.
It
Right.
is something, it's something that just evolved. And the more you talk, the more you learn, and things change
Yeah.
for the better, obviously.
Yeah. There's a sign I saw many years ago. It said, "Why couldn't all life's challenges happen to me when I was a teenager and I knew everything?"
Yeah,
We get older, things change, and everything changes constantly, every
right,
moment.
right. The only constant in life, okay, is change.
That's not much of a constant. Yes, yes.
It is a constant.
Yeah.
Things change constantly.
Yep, yep. All right, Sammy. Thank you again. Have a
Okay.
safe trip on the train.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless you.
Okay. Bye bye.